In this video, we're going to learn how Southeast Asia constitutes a region based on its climate, vegetation, language, trade networks, political units, and river systems, and religion. So let's start with the climate. The climate of Southeast Asia, if you see here, we have some of the pockets of humid subtropical like we saw with East Asia, but we have much more of a tropical climate, both the tropical wet and dry and the tropical wet climates. So a much more important part of the climate. And so when we think of Southeast Asia, we can focus primarily on a tropical climate. Because it's a tropical climate, tropical rainforest is a major part of the vegetation that we find in this region. You can see through the islands of Indonesia, the Philippines, Vietnam, and Cambodia. And so tropical rainforest, extremely important. The languages of the region, again, we can follow, really relate to the countries. Vietnamese and Vietnam, Laotian and Laos, Thai. And so a lot of the region is isolated. If you notice, we had mountains in this area of Southeast Asia, but also these islands allow for isolation and individual linguistic groups to develop. The trade networks. This region is becoming a major player in the world economy. In addition to just the outsourcing of jobs, the major manufacturing work that's occurring in many of these countries, we also have the Straits of Malacca, where a lot of the goods from China and Japan, as they're moving toward Europe or the Middle East, travel through. So a major choke point also, and that's again part of the trade networks that make Southeast Asia so important. In terms of countries, we have Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, and Singapore Singapore and Indonesia as major countries in the region. One of the major river systems that we see on the mainland is the Mekong River, going through Laos, through Cambodia, and into Vietnam. Southeast Asia is a region that's very interesting in terms of religion. We find pockets of Hinduism, Buddhism, and even Islam in these areas. You can see the proximity to India. As these religions spread, either through traders or people moving, that we have many different religions. Even in the islands of Indonesia, you'll find pockets of islands that are more Hindu, islands with large Muslim populations. And Indonesia, in terms of religion, has the largest Muslim population of any country in the world. So when we think of Islam, oftentimes we think of the Middle East, but in terms of the largest number of followers in a country, Indonesia has the largest numbers of followers of Islam. So when we think of Southeast Asia, we focus on that. It's a region with a very large, it's mainly tropical in terms of its climate and vegetation. Languages are based on the political map and because of isolation. This is an area that's becoming much more important in terms of manufacturing in the global economy. We have the Straits of Malacca in terms of trade networks. Many different countries, Vietnam, Philippines, Indonesia. We had talked about the Mekong River through Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam. And in terms of religion, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Islam in the region, and Indonesia being the country with the largest Muslim population in the world.